I would like to mention something that was aired in a documentary.
Okay.
They have seen and shown lines of men standing in line, and they are involved in praying. I think it's important for us to scale the language barrier. Sometimes when we say praying in the Islamic tradition, it does not only refers to talking to God or invoking God, but it refers to a liturgical, ceremonial act of worship that Muslims do 5 times a day. And this act of worship involves bodily movement coordinated with different statements of oral praise and commendations and Quranic recitation. This act of worship could be done individually, and also could be done in congregation. And what they have seen, what they have shown in a documentary, is a congregational prayer. And then there is the prayer in the sense of calling upon God, communicating to God, expressing your heart to God and asking God to bless you. That could also take place in a congregational setting where a person says the prayer and the people who are there can say Ameen, Amen, or a person can do it by himself. But we need to let the audience know the difference between the ceremonial act of worship, which is meant for the Muslims to honor God, to worship God, to remember God. And also a person in that act of worship can call upon God, can ask God for blessings for this life and the one to come. But that is not the extent of it. A person always have a direct line, so to speak, to God. At any given moment, you can call upon God, and there's no answering machine. There's nothing for you to leave a message. God answers every call personally. Actually, there's a Quranic reference that says in chapter 2, 186, it says, when my servants ask you about me, I am near. I answer the call of the caller. Well, praying in the public school or in that setting, again, comes to the issue of we do not want the prayer to be a means by which different people are indoctrinated to accept one faith over another. So we do not want to pray in such a way that a person from a Jewish faith might feel he is being indoctrinated to pray a certain way or to believe in a certain way, or a person of a Muslim faith or a Christian faith. So this is where prayer, when it comes a mean of indoctrination, it's not suitable for a public school. But if there is a time when there is a universal prayer that encourages the student to be good and to do their homework and to be nice to one another and to appreciate that the fact they have a school, they appreciate that they have clothing, they appreciate that they are experiencing a lot of blessings. Our kids nowadays, they take for granted many of the things that they have. But if prayer become a means for them to develop appreciation for what they have, and they do not indoctrinate it in any certain religious tradition. Praying is not always this awesome experience that is shrouded with spirituality all the time. Prayer could be just a simple word that a person say. A person might be leaving the house and he says, God help me in my day, or you might see somebody who is homeless and you make just a short prayer for God to bless him, for God to give him something. So it does not always have to be this awesome spiritual experience that you feel you are connected and you are enveloped with angelic feelings. It does not have to be this way all the times. From the Islamic tradition, the Prophet told us that one of the times that is very precious for praying is the latter part of the night. There is a prophetic statement that says that God in that time asks, Is there anyone seeking my forgiveness so I can forgive? Is anyone wants anything so I can give? So traditionally, Muslims, if they are not asleep at that time, a person can utilize this time to pray to God, to ask for God, without sounding to be bragging, but in personal experience, there are times when I prayed and I felt after I prayed much better about things that I'm experiencing, even though things did not change from the outside, but the change happened on my inside. And that is the effectiveness of praying. Or sometimes there are difficult situations and you cannot make heads or tails from it, and then you pray and things get better. So those are good experiences, but we do not want to, myself, I try to tell the people who I teach that praying is not a difficult thing to do. You do not have to have a PhD in theology to know how to pray. You can pray by just calling upon God and asking Him for things and for blessings. And also, we do not want to utilize the prayers as a shopping list that, oh God, I want a better car, I want a better this, and about a better that. It's not a genie you are asking. You are praying to God to honor God.
So,
I do not want to sound Clintonian, but what is? But what does it mean directly?
okay.
When it comes to moral values, I think we receive our moral values in part and in large part from our faith traditions. The values of honesty, the value of justice, the value of speaking for those who cannot speak on their own, the value of standing up for those who cannot stand up for themselves, of preserving lives. I think we get these principles from our faith tradition. And then when we translate those principles into movement in order to preserve life, in order to give justice, in order to share what we have with others, does that mean we are using our faith to influence politics? Is that? I think what I would like to add here, that we should not allow eschatology or the end times prophecy to influence our policies. I think they are a movement in interpreting end time prophecies in such a way that then they might influence the policies that are adapted to make sure that those end-time prophecies happen the way they were interpreted, and then it becomes self-fulfilled prophecy. So I do not want to have the doctrine of end-time prophecies to control our policies and foreign policies.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Allah forgive us and bestow upon us mercy and give us salvation. There is another prayer that says, "O God, give us goodness in this life and goodness in the life to come, and give us salvation."